In today's video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be taking a look at a tier list I've made of every major McLaren livery change and putting them in the rankings. So this goes from the white and black livery used from 1966-1967 for the filming of Grand Prix, all the way up to the orange and blue used for the last 3 seasons. Now, I appreciate there may be some more subtle changes throughout, such as variations on the Malboro livery, but I've gone for what I consider to be the main groups, and yeah, without further ado, let's see what I think. Okay, so the first livery we're looking at is that used on the M2A and M2B from 1966 to 1967. This was driven by Bruce McLaren and scored the team's first point at the British Grand Prix. Now, New Zealand's racing colours are not orange, they are green and silver, and this was supposed to be the car's colours. However, because Bruce was short on money, he ended up making a deal with the makers of the film Grand Prix, who needed a car to capture real race footage for their movie, and ended up using the colour scheme which the producers wanted, which was white with a green stripe with some silver edging. So not too dissimilar from the national racing colours. But again, this is one that people forget. They always think, oh, McLaren, they started in orange or papaya, but no, this is the first one. And it's not a bad livery, but I'm going to put it in C because it's, I would say, nothing amazing. It's a cool story, but middle of the road. And yeah, this was definitely before McLaren made it big time. So next we're going to move on to the OG papaya orange, which was used from 1967 to 1971. So we've got a couple of cars here. This includes the M7A and the M19A. So the M7A took the first wins of the team. That was 3 between Bruce McLaren and Denny Hulme in 1968, and the M9A as well. This was used between 1972 and 1973. So yeah, these were painted in orange hue known as papaya, and were inspired by Can-Am liveries sported by other teams. And this was used, yeah, all the way from 1967 into 1972. And this, you know, this is an iconic colour. This is what has inspired McLaren's recent changes. This is going to go straight for me into the S. Absolutely beautiful livery. If you see some of the high shots of the I think it's the M9A with 2 wings, absolutely fantastic, beautiful livery. Moving on, we've got the Yardley livery. Now this is another one that is often forgotten. On the M19A and on the first iterations of the M23. So this is a still existing cosmetics and perfume company, Yardley's of London. So the cars were painted white, which matched the branding of Yardley's. However, the side pods maintained the papaya orange. And this car took McLaren's first pole position, which is in 1972, and took them to 3rd in the championship that year. Now, as I said before, this is not seen very often, but I think the orange and white look absolutely great. So this is going straight into A for me. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, beautiful livery. Next one, we're going on to the big boy, and that is the Marlboro McLaren livery, which ran for an incredible 22 years, from 1974 to 1996. So the earlier stages of this, those of you who have seen Rush or are familiar with the McLarens of Emerson Fittipaldi and James Hunt, this ran as Texaco Team McLaren or Texaco Marlboro McLaren or iterations on that, with Texaco being the primary sponsor alongside Marlboro. However, from about 1977, I think, Marlboro took over as the primary sponsor, and the car kept its white and red colour scheme through the incredibly dominant years of Lauda and Prost, and then Senna and Prost. Now, admittedly, this looked better on some cars than others. there's some photos from the Donington collection which I picked up a couple of years ago, and you can see on the early 80s cars, doesn't look quite as nice, but I think that's down to the car rather than the livery itself. But as I said, yeah, this is an absolutely classic livery. Over time it became synonymous with F1 cars throughout the world. And yeah, there's, I see it's on Dragon Ball Z. It's on pretty much everything. And this is where McLaren won all the championships, or the majority of them. So there's 8 Constructors' Championships there: 74, 84, 85, 88, 89, 90 and 91. And a huge squad of Drivers' Championships from 74 all the way to Senna's last one in 1991. This is going straight into the S. Absolutely fantastic livery. Moving on, and 1997 was the dawn of a new era, not in F1 because the regulations were not changed until the following year with narrow track cars and groove tyres. However, it was the start of the West livery for McLaren and the end of the Malboro sponsorship. This was a stark change from the old. It also had seen, sponsors such as Shell and Honda move away in recent years. And you start seeing Siemens, SAP, etc., or SAP becoming more prominent on the car. This was sort of the period that I grew up with watching, with Hakkinen and Kimi Räikkönen. So, yeah, another great livery. I'm going to drop this firmly into AA. Okay, so the next livery we're going to discuss is the quote-unquote Vodafone livery, otherwise known as Chrome McLaren livery, which was used from 2006 to 2014, the longest of any livery apart from the Malboro. And yeah, this is a fan favourite for many people. If they grew up watching Lewis Hamilton in his McLaren, this would be the one they're familiar with. It was, striking. The red accents were fantastic, and yeah, this was the last time McLaren was sort of a great power in Formula One. It was in this period with Button, Alonso, McLaren, Hamilton, you name it. This gave promise to quite a few big sponsors. You had Vodafone on there. You had Emirates, which apparently was the initial reason for the red, was actually for Emirates branding in 2006, because I think Vodafone arrived after that. Then you saw Claravia and Lucasade. Now, a common theory is that chrome adds weight to the car. You've got to put several thick layers of paint on, just like you would metallic paint on a car. But it obviously didn't matter to McLaren because they kept it up for 8 years, and the result is an iconic livery, which even the silver Mercedes up until this year wasn't quite as striking as this. For that reason, I'm going to stick it in the S. The 2015-2016 sort of matte, dark grey, black McLaren was initially missing from my list. Now, the fact it's missing is probably one cue as to my opinion on this. It's not a very memorable livery. It's basically the chrome, or even the West, without any silvery on it. It's just the base colour with the red accents. Now they accented the red. They gave it a bit more vibrant. They put some more on the nose. But yeah, this is a bland livery. Obviously coincided with a bad period for the team, but I'm trying not to let that affect my ranking too much. But yeah, I did not like this. This is going in the D. Uninspiring. If at least slightly clean. But you felt like with the colour missing that it meant the sponsors were missing. It meant that McLaren was in a bad place. The following on from 2015 to 2016, we have 2017, which is the infamous orange and black, where McLaren took their first stab at orange. Didn't seem to get the right shade. It wasn't a papaya, more of a just orange. Yeah, there was a lot of flack for this car. It looked like they were trying to basically hide the fact they didn't have any sponsors by putting a white band through the black side pod. Just generally people are saying, oh, it looks like a backmarker livery, it looks like an Arrows, but Arrows had fantastic liveries, to be fair to them. But yeah, this is not a good livery in my book. This is going straight in the D with its predecessor. And finally, we come to the orange and black, which is the current livery that McLaren have been running from 2018 onwards. In 2018, it did look bare because there was very little sponsorship, and you only had the little shark fin in blue. 2019, you saw a fantastic sort of hexagon shaped approach on the back, and I'm disappointed it wasn't quite the same for 2020, but it still looks great. The blue is such a great match with the orange, and now that the car is filling up with sponsors, it's beginning to look like a great livery, which I think could go on to match perhaps some of the West and the West and even the Chrome. So I'm gonna stick this up in A again. I think this will be looked back on as a classic, and hopefully McLaren will keep this colour for a long time as part of redesigning their brand image with their climb to the top. So there we are. That concludes my tier list of McLaren liveries. You can see what you want. I guess I'm pretty biased. I've got 3 in the A column, 3 in the S. It's pretty divided. I've got none in the B. But yeah, let me know what you think. If you have any criticisms or comments, and as always, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.